So we got the frame and motor in the shop finally. I'm gonna mount the cab onto the frame. I got a cool way I learned from a guy how to do this by myself, or as close to by myself as I can and safely. It just involves a couple of ratchet straps where the seat bolts go. This is going to involve the engine hoist, which we have this extra arm for pulling boxes off. But got the hook here, got the straps crossed. I'm just going to hook it over there. And I'm hoping that the brakes here are going to counterbalance because the firewall is going to be heavy. It's not so much that this whole thing is heavy, just that it's really awkward. It only took 2 of us to take it off the frame originally. And then I learned about this idea. So here's the situation. This is where the seat bolts down to the floor. 10 mil bolt, whatever. Heavy duty, big honking washer. This is actually the washer from the donor truck that engine came from that holds the cab on. So I got that tied into the loop of that strap on both sides. Just hooked it around, and we hope and we pray that it works. Nope, we got lift off. And the brakes aren't enough. Look at this yard. Back dragged it, looking great. Maybe a battery or 2, I think. Probably kind of keep dead batteries around. Counterweight, look at that yard. Counterweight for pulling things like a bed off. So this is definitely not a one-man job. We had 2 of us, definitely a 3-man job. Even with all this weight, 2 batteries, a pile of brakes. The front end is still heavy. With all that weight, or put more weight, it's still tippy. So put a guy on each corner if you're gonna do it this way. Put a guy on each corner, help it balance, and then just be careful. And we're gonna need a wheel alignment on this for sure. Got a whole mess of parts. Let's pull out the big gun light. This thing will light up a whole city street at night. It's pretty powerful. But it looks like I had all my parts and people started stacking on top. I think we're gonna do some digging. I'm looking for my radiator. I think somebody might have threw it out. Hopefully not, but check out this light. She's bright. I'm thinking, like, where can I find my rad? Not outside, not up there. I put a bunch of parts in my brother's place. I know he's not happy about that, but it's behind scratch, who cares? But he's moving next year, so I should probably get some of those parts here soon. But I bet that's where my rad is sitting. If it's over there, sweet. I've heard things about this. For the cooling thing, the factory rad, that's the donor rad that matches the engine. With the cooling system, you can use the factory one. But then I also heard the 3/4 tons came with a 454 big block, which is a lot of motor. It needs to be cooled. And they have a different radiator. So if I can put that one in, sweet. But I keep hearing that the factory one that came with the 5.7 is plenty, so I might just run that because that's just an easy bolt in, done and done. And I just got to rear out some hoses and figure it out from there. So body panels on. One cool thing, that is not the stock motor. That's out of an 04 Chevy 2500. 6-liter LS. This is the same rad that came with that engine. So if you make sure you can keep that and fit that, you'll get enough cooling. That bottom shroud fits. The top doesn't fit. Rubs on the fan. I'm thinking the engine might be a little different angle. But this, I can make it work. Drill some holes in the bottom. Put that little rubber mount in there. This should sit down another 3/4 of an inch. It already clears the hood. And then we got the stock factory, much bigger rad in here for the bigger engine. So we should have plenty of cooling. And it pretty much bolts in. Just got to build a bracket to hold this in. The bottom will be held in with these guys. And she's good to go. I think that's what we're gonna run with. Fan shroud doesn't fit, as you can see, it's hitting the fan. But I think if you get in there, if you lob off, yeah, call it right there. That might actually bring this down because it'll clear the fan. Maybe figure out a way to, I don't know, do something there. I'll figure it out. Because it'd be nice to have this all tied down in there and tied off in here somewhere. I should get the factory one for the truck and see how that fits. If it fits even better and there's no gap somewhere, it's a win for me. And there is so much room in this engine bay. Like, as long as you don't have those tubs in, you have lots of room. Tubs can go in after, but like hooking anything up, tons of space, all your lines, easy to get to. I just got to remember how all that heater core and AC and stuff goes. It's been a while, I kind of forget, but it's kind of dummy proof. Worst case scenario, you go to Bucks, you find a truck where they've torn the front end apart, because typically they're not messing around with the heater core and the dash. The people are mostly just trying to take engine and hood and fenders. So lucky for me, when I go and check stuff out, it's already torn apart. And if I know I need a line, just go in there with the right tool, poke around, or kind of remember, take some pictures and videos of what a guy needs. But yeah, it should be pretty easy to work on when it comes time to reassembling. So this is a 4x4. They're not meant to be lowered, and you can kind of see has a bit of a rake to it, and I don't care for it, but I'm pretty sure I need to raise this up. It's got torsion keys, torsion bars, so it's not something that's easily lowered. If it's a two-wheel drive, totally different front end suspension, tons easier. But if I can get this thing as low as possible where I can still get in the wheel alignment, I might actually have to lower the rear end a little bit more, because I was going to go for 2 and 2, but I'm looking at this. If I can get 4 out of the front and have a good alignment, I'm going to have to put new hangers in there. Essentially, this has already lowered it. What this did was, factory, you'll sit around here, and that raises this up, which makes the wheel go further into the body. And you change this piece out if you need a little bit more, which will change this bit to go up higher there, which would then in turn make that go higher there. And then the next step, if you're going to go crazy, you end up notching the frame, and that's just a whole different animal. I don't really want to do that, because my frame is all painted beautifully and whatnot, but that's a lot of what the two-wheel drive guys do. But four-wheel drive, it's a different animal. I should say on these trucks, the two-wheel drive and the four-wheel drive are the same in the rear end suspension-wise, just all the front geometry that's different. All of this is much different. You can see right there, that bar right here, that's the torsion bar. That right there, as the suspension moves up and down, it's twisting the bar, and the tension, the torsion on that is actually kind of, call it your spring. That's your spring, and that's just a shock. That's just for little things. But instead of having the big coil spring, you got that in a four-wheel drive. Two-wheel drive, you have the big coil spring in there.